I woke up to the smell of freshly brewed coffee and the faint rustle of leaves outside my window. The countryside air had a way of pulling me out of bed, unlike the stuffy mornings I'd endured in my old city apartment. After the divorce, moving here had been a leap into the unknown. A fresh start, I told myself. It didn't always feel that way, but today was different. My phone buzzed on the kitchen counter as I poured myself a cup of coffee. A text from my stepbrother, Josh. Almost there. Be ready. Josh and I hadn't seen each other in years. He'd been away for college and then work, and our interactions were mostly limited to family gatherings, which neither of us was particularly fond of. But when he offered to visit, I figured it couldn't hurt. The sound of tires crunching on the gravel driveway snapped me out of my thoughts. He stepped out of his car, a grin spreading across his face. Same old Josh, easygoing, effortlessly charming, with that boyish energy that made everyone gravitate toward him. "Hey, stranger," he called out, walking up with his hands in his pockets. "Josh," I said, hugging him briefly. His warmth was familiar, comforting even. We spent the morning catching up. His stories about his life in the city, the chaos of his office job, and his occasional misadventures had me laughing more than I had in months. It was strange how easy it felt to talk to him, like no time had passed at all. "You know," he said, leaning back in his chair after breakfast, "you've got this huge place and all this gorgeous land. We should do something fun. Explore a bit." I hesitated. It wasn't like I had anything better to do, but something about the way he said it made me feel like I was stepping into uncharted territory. "All right," I said finally. "Let's see if this place has any adventures left to offer." The trail behind the house led us into a world untouched by time. Trees towered over us, their branches intertwined like an endless canopy. Josh walked ahead, pointing out little things: a strange mushroom, a bird call, the way sunlight filtered through the leaves. "You've got a whole paradise here, and you don't even appreciate it," he teased. "I guess I've been too busy starting over," I replied, shrugging. We found an old wooden bridge over a stream, and he dared me to cross it. Of course, it creaked and swayed with every step, and I couldn't help but scream when it felt like it might collapse. He stood on the other side, laughing so hard he nearly doubled over. "Real mature," I shot at him, but I was laughing too. The afternoon brought quieter moments. We sat by the water, skipping stones and talking about everything and nothing. At some point, he mentioned how hard it had been to stay connected to family after his mom remarried my dad. "It always felt like I didn't belong," he admitted. I looked at him, surprised. "You, the golden child? You seem to fit in just fine." He smiled faintly, his gaze on the rippling water. "I guess I hid it well." Something about the way he said it made my chest tighten. For years I'd thought I was the only one who felt out of place in our patchwork family. As the sun began to dip lower, the conversation took a turn. He leaned back on his elbows, looking at me with an expression I couldn't quite read. "You know, this day has been nice," he said softly. "Yeah," I replied, feeling an unfamiliar warmth spread through me. "It has." By the time we made it back to the house, the sun was setting, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. I started dinner while Josh rummaged through the cabinets for plates. "You're surprisingly domestic," he joked, setting the table. "And you're surprisingly helpful," I shot back. Dinner was light, filled with more laughter and teasing. But as the night wore on, the atmosphere began to shift. The silence between words stretched a little longer, and the looks we exchanged lingered a little too much. As I cleared the plates, I felt his presence behind me. I turned to find him standing closer than I expected. "This is different," he said, his voice quiet. "What is?" I asked, though I already knew the answer. "Us," he replied, holding my gaze. For a moment, the world seemed to stop. Every logical thought screamed at me to step back, to laugh it off, to do anything but what I was about to do. But the magnetic pull between us was undeniable. "I don't know what this is," I whispered, more to myself than to him. "Me neither," he admitted. "But maybe we don't have to know." The night ended with more questions than answers, but one thing was clear. Our relationship had changed in ways neither of us could have predicted. And maybe, just maybe, that wasn't such a bad thing.